Pamela!
See? This is how it happens. I knew it. I knew this based on what the name of the achievement was. I knew. This is the run. Everybody dies. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony. Today we're hopping back into Lake of Voices. Without further ado, let's hop in. Alright, so this is going to be a very quick one. Because it's for an achievement that you get for not going across the lake. So I'll cut this on to something else. Abashed. We say nothing. We each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we each deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. And we say nothing. The guide approaches Pamela and me before I have time to sort out my thoughts.
You will stay.
What?
You would have already decided to come if you had the proper mindset for a journey such as this. You two will stay.
But you don't understand.
The guide raises a hand to me, ice cold. My words die in my throat. If he decides we aren't fit to cross, how could we persuade him otherwise?
This is bullshit! We are more than equipped to make this journey, and we know more of what it means to be in danger than most will know in all their life.
You two will stay.
Pamela's muscles tense, and I put a hand on his arm. He trembles slightly beneath my fingers, his hand curling themselves in a fist, but he doesn't say another word. The guide turns around and heads onto the bridge. Margaret uncomfortably looks from the guide to us.
Goodbye.
She then steps onto the bridge after him. Pamela sighs, anger releasing from him as they disappear into the fog.
Farewell.
Be safe. Reach Himmer safely, though it took much longer than we would have liked. Much of the village had been damaged or even destroyed. It was my fault for taking so long. I did all that I could to aid them in defending their town and repairing what could be salvaged. Valet was disheartened by how little assistance we were able to provide. However, he could not deny how fortunate we were to have both made it at all, especially after we caught wind of the report given by the guide to the elders for that night. Every village close enough to Sinless gets informed on what occurs on the lake. He does so because communities wish to be made aware if they have lost one of their own. This time, his news was death of a young woman who we spoke to. Margaret is gone. I have not heard nor seen the guide myself since I must assume he is still there on that foggy shore, waiting for desperate souls to seek out his light so they may cross the lake of true darkness. Although I regret that I was not able to do more to protect these people, no one admonished me for it. They seemed sure that I did everything possible. I hope that is true. Even I cannot bring myself to believe it. So Pamela and I return home, and we will once again take the long way around. My one piece in all this is that Sinless will be far behind me in a matter of days. I intend to keep it there. Like I said, super short, not much on that one. Alright, next one. This one I don't think will be very long. It doesn't have very many options. I use a little bit of a guide for this, just because I would not know how to get to them. Some of them, it's literally the difference between one interaction, and I just don't do that on my own. Alright, I'm gonna start. Alright, I want everyone to make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Mallory places a gentle hand on my shoulder. We nod seriously. Mallory's face hardens in return. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now, properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret turns her head to the front and quickens her pace with a tug on Pamela. We start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridge, only this time the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowlers join the sound of our own. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps and short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of water like this? Or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I steel myself, trying not to let it get to me. Then, the most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemele, they're stopping.
Bemele slows down, as do I, and we near Margaret's back as she says with something akin to distress,
There's another one.
I tug on Bemele's hand. He understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling towards us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hand turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand. When Bemele speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bemele's lantern from him. Guarded relief displays on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hands grip it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far, or the light will blow out before it reaches the Nyx.
He steps close to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears the prowler, starts to back away. It's only the approaching light that makes it making it retreat in terror, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partly obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voice from the lake grows louder and louder. The water suddenly begins to splash across the lake in the distance and onto the edge of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bemele eases my grasp on his arm. Then suddenly, the guide takes multiple long, fast strides, throws the lantern, and jumps back to regain the lost distance. Shh! There's a sharp hiss, and then a deep splash, and the voice of the Nixie grows quieter, not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me as the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going, before it comes back.
I glance at Bemele and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. The first prowler is there. It was right there. We gotta wait the timer. It lunges at Bemele, hits his leg, and he goes down, taking me with him. We slam against the bridge, our lantern's light blinking out as it hits the wood. We're engulfed in darkness and fog. Before I can do anything, a Nyx reaches out from the edge of the bridge and clings to Bemele. It pulls hard, separating the two of us, and I quickly slides near the edge as the Nixie retreat. Bemele struggles to loosen the monster's long fingers from him to no avail.
No!
I lunge forward, but my hands only slap the surface of the bridge as I try to crawl closer, yet I can't keep up with the rapid pace of the horror playing out in front of me. Margaret rushes over to me, bathing me in her lantern's light, and scaring away another Nixie at the surface's edge. The Nixie, with Bemele's likewise, dives fully back into the black waters, dragging him completely off the side.
Bemele!
See? This is how it happens. I knew it. I knew this based on what the name of the achievement was. I knew this is the run. Everybody dies. And the thing is, I was pretty sure that in the run, like in every one of them, if we didn't pull on Bemele, he would die, but now it's confirmed to me, so I scramble to the edge, and Bemele is there flailing to keep above water. Before I can even extend a hand towards him, he's violently yanked underneath.
Bemele!
Ooh. The surface of the water grows still again in just a few seconds, as if an entire altercation didn't happen, as if Bemele hadn't just been taken, as if he'd never been here in the first place. I stared down at the void in disbelief. A clinking clutter sound, like the whining of cicadas, erupts around us. The Nixie are laughing. A hand grips my shoulder. The guide pulls Margaret and I back over to the center of the bridge, grabbing my lantern and holding it in front of my face.
Relight it. We're moving forward.
I stare at the lantern, unable to move.
What happened here? It didn't happen. Not until we reach the shore. Pretend he will be there on the other side. Whatever it takes. Get up.
I rise to my feet, barely conscious of what's happening. Margaret helps stabilize me. The guide holds out the lantern again. This time I take it. My free hand slips into my pouch, pulling out a box of matches. I get one out and hold it up in front of my face. I can't seem to figure out what to do next. Margaret gently takes the match from my hand, relighting the lantern for me. As the light bursts to life and shines across her face, I feel like crying. The guide nods and begins forward again. Stiffly, I follow, the box of matches crumpling in my grip. Margaret, now sure that I'm as okay as I can be, catches up to the guide, but remains closer to me than she did before.
What happened to the other lantern?
It was taken after the light went out.
What conversation there was or could have been gets no further. It barely penetrates my mind. Margaret hovers nearby, watching me with clear worry on her face. I want to say something, wanting to reassure her, but I feel like I'm barely even in my own body. Nothing feels real. I can't accept Bamele being gone. I can't accept that he's gone for good, just like that. He can't just have disappeared. The guide's words float through my mind, and it's remarkably easy to believe what he said. Bamele will be waiting for me on the other side, or maybe he'll be in the tavern when I make it back home, clapping me on the back and commending me for a job well done. He'll be laughing and drinking as he usually does, shouting a fuss with the other guards. He can't just be gone. It can't be that. It won't see his face again. A dim, unusual noise penetrates the fog of my mind. I realize Margaret is trying to talk to me. Her words sound far away, like she's speaking through a tunnel. She smiles nervously at me. I only look at her. The smile slides off her face. Instead, she stays by my side, walking forward with me.
Huh?
Something is pulling on my arm. Warmth penetrates my armor, and the feeling grounds me slightly in my body. Margaret is whispering to me, pulling me forward and pointing at the guide. My eyes follow her finger, and I realize the guide is getting further away.
He's moving faster.
Then I snap back into my awareness. Danger is still afoot, and Margaret is still alive. Shame trickles down my neck. Shame for having lost my wits. I'm not supposed to be this way. I double my speed, pounding hard against the wood. The sound and rhythm soothe me enough to fully clear my mind.
Thank you for telling me, Margaret.
It says I say it quietly, so quietly I'm sure she can't hear, but as Margaret runs past me, getting into her original position, she pants in response.
You're welcome.
We go faster and faster until suddenly we're full on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. Figures in the dark fly past us as at a blur, and it occurs to me the branching paths on the bridge appear to be sinking. As I try hard to swallow my rising panic, the guide shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic padding of our footsteps. Trying to piece together what he said. Don't. Stop. Turn. When he takes a masterfully sharp right turn down a different path, using his own momentum and sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Margaret must not have worked out the warning either, as she is completely caught off guard by the guide's changing course. She runs straight ahead past the turn, continues down the path we've been following up till now. She clumsily begins to halt her momentum down the wrong bridge. I come upon the fork. Turn. I make a hard turn following the guide and leaving Margaret at the rear. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Margaret turn around and try to come back to us, only to have the bridge in front of her fall away. I slow down for a breath, feeling the impulse to turn back, but I ignore it. There's no time. Margaret can make the jump, and she'll rejoin us. I keep my eyes glued to the guide's back, ears peeking for Margaret's footsteps approaching behind us. And then I hear it. A scream. Whipping around, sliding to a stop, Margaret is sinking. The bridge she is on. It's sinking into the water. She's disappearing. She didn't jump.
What are you doing?
Margaret's head shoots up, her face drained of all color.
Jump!
She stumbles near the edge of the bridge, staring at the placid water of the lake. Even from a distance, I can see her shaking. I can't say if it's from the bridge descent or her own fear. She barely seems to remain standing. I swallow painfully. Margaret bends and tries to jump. She curves a small arc, achieving more height than she should, and lands directly in the lake with a muted splash. I start running again, leaving Margaret flailing in the water behind me. I don't want to watch this. I know exactly what will happen to her now. Margaret's anguish cries piercing the night. Then the screaming stops. My legs grow weak. It isn't right, but I push myself to keep going. I try to focus on the pounding of my feet, but my brain won't cooperate. I say I imagine Margaret's terror as she clawed to pieces by the Nixie. After everything, I didn't help her. We left her in the dark. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. As if in response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to a stop, as well, sliding on the surface of the wood. The guide stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following his gaze further down the path. There, curled up in a little ball, illuminated by the lantern's light, lies a person. His hands grip his head as he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
I'm struck with an array of questions. What's going on? Why would he wander onto these bridges on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seeming only just now to have the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with the clearest mask of terror, are scrawled all across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do.
Leave him.
I snap my eyes away from the man instead to the guide's cold, implacable face.
Haven't we lost enough as it is?
I clench my fist in exasperation, disturbance rising in the lack of concern he allows for the departed. It's as if their existence has already been wiped bare from his mind. The guide regards me piercingly. I have no intentions of flinching in front of him, but there was no need to be concerned as he almost immediately turns his eyes on the newcomer. The man is standing now, though still hunched with the arms wrapped around himself, as if expecting a blow. He stares at the ground rather than at us. Because of this, I'm having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
He glances up, not at me, but towards me, his eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
No.
He lifts his head, wide eyes looking up at me incredulously.
You need a lantern in order to ward off the Nixie. The light keeps them at bay. You may come with us. I offer you my protection.
The guide interjects curtly.
If he is to come, then you along with him will need to travel split off from myself. You may only walk near enough to see my lantern, not my form, and no closer. I did not agree to lead this man.
Raw wrath boils up within me. Why is he being so unreasonable? He should not care if this man comes along. He's never let the presence of another person impact his own safety regardless. I turn a choked gulp into a headstrong huff. I raise my eyes to glower directly into his. I know an opponent I cannot defeat when I duel with one, but that does not mean I cannot make my disgust clear.
All right. We will stay behind.
I keep my voice level until the sharp bite at the end. The guide makes eye contact with the newcomer one final time before turning and advancing forward, leaving us in his dimming lantern light. As I watch him move forward, I continue to seethe. My thoughts drift to all the events that have unfolded at this dreaded night. Against my own wishes, I begin to feel torn between all the regrets and sympathies I have for Bumeli and Margaret, and the acknowledgement that it is because such things happen that the guide is likely refusing to take any chances. I don't understand how I'm supposed to feel or what I'm meant to do anymore. My head starts to reel, leaving me with the only option there has ever been, pushing the emotions to the corners of my mind. The mission is all that matters for now. I release another bated breath and just barely shake my head. You should go after him. I widen my eyes, startled.
What?
There's still time. You should go after him. Staying with me isn't worth it. I study him momentarily, speechless from the madness of his suggestion.
No. I'm not going to let you die out here. I'll do whatever it takes to ensure your safety.
At that bit of power, he had seemed to be whisked off his shoulders like a thin cape. He shrank back into himself, silence once more. It's a relief to have this matter fully settled. I'll be damned if I let him stroll into a certain early end.
We should start walking. That should be enough of a head start for him. What are you doing out here without the guide?
Perhaps the question isn't appropriate to ask. After all, only the darkest of circumstances spur somebody to cross Sinlos. But the situation is very strange. I might even go as far to say it's suspicious. I know that's not fair. I can't help it. But I can't help it. Years spent anticipating danger have made me wary.
That's a good question. I'm not sure I know myself.
What does that mean? Is that some sort of joke too? Or do you genuinely not remember how you arrived where you are?
No, it wasn't a joke. Or, well, there is a point to it all.
Then his voice, already by nature light and airy, drops to a whisper.
But I don't know why I even tried. You'd think that I'd be able to call a spade already, right?
He looks up, noticing my gaze, still level at him. Then he shrugs.
I'd rather not talk about it.
As what has become the norm, I don't fully understand what he means, but I can at least guess that he's not very happy with himself at present. And like it or not, he won't be sharing his real reason with me.
What about you? What brings you out on this little adventure?
People. On the other side. People who need my help.
Ugh.
You have someone waiting on you? Then why are you risking yourself on me instead of worrying about what's going to happen to them?
I feel my brow furrow from my speck of alarm. Is that really what he took from this? I survey his face with a flick of my eyes, but there is no mischievous gleam to his look. Now he's serious. We hold eye contact for a moment until yet again he stares down at the ground.
Sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. It just fell out somehow. I wasn't thinking.
Say nothing. I refocus on the boards ahead of us, not allowing the comment to make me second guess myself.
Honestly, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
The two simple words caused the uncertainty to fall from his face, and the growing tension to dissipate. He too watches the guide's lantern float ahead. For a time, there is relative peace in the silence between us. Then Lou sighs heavily.
I never could have seen myself in a situation like this. It seems things really aren't over until they're over.
And we'll end that one there. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Hit subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back. Here's what happens next. I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.